Good morning, students. So let us start with today's session. Okay, in the last lecture, we had studied the flag register PSW, that is program status word. What is the functioning of that flag register? It stores the status of operations performed by ALU. What status? After the operation has performed, whether carry has generated or was there an auxiliary carry? Was there an overflow during the arithmetic operation? How is the parity of the obtained answer? Correct? These are called as status, right? And these are also called as arithmetic flags because they are affected due to some arithmetic operation performed by ALU. Then we looked into two register bank select registers, right? These banks are nothing but those general purpose registers R0 to R7. So we have 4 banks. Each bank has a set of 8 registers. Correct? So the programmer has a choice to select which set of registers they are going to use. And those registers are R0 to R7 general purpose registers. By default, bank 0 is selected and those registers are in use. R0 to R7 registers of bank 0 are in use. Correct? Then we saw one user defined flag F0 denoted as F0. So the programmer can make use of that flag to indicate some operation is going on or some event has occurred and so on. Right? That was user defined flag. Fine. Now we'll go for the next. We are towards the end of the architecture. We will go to the last special function register, that is PCON register, which is power control register. Correct? Now from the name itself, it is used to lower the power dissipation of microcontroller. Correct? So the name itself is power control register. Right? It is used to reduce the power dissipation. Now what happens because of that? Lesser the power dissipation, more is the battery life. Right? And majority of embedded systems are battery operated. Right? So lesser the power dissipation, the battery life will be more. Correct? It is byte addressable and the address is 87 hex. Correct? Now, how do we control power? It is by keeping microcontroller in idle or sleep mode or keeping microcontroller in power down mode. Right? So these are the two modes which will reduce the power dissipation. What is the first one? Idle mode or sleep mode. And the second one is power down mode. Now, what is meant by this? In case of idle mode, when we say microcontroller is in idle mode, it means internally microcontroller is not performing any of the operation. Correct? All the register contents, the memory contents are kept as it is. There is no operation or data transfer going on inside. And that is called the idle mode. Right? Whereas the internal clock is running. Whatever oscillator we connect, that on-chip clock circuitry is generating the clock, the square wave. Right? But microcontroller is not performing any of the operation. Right? Now see, not performing any of the operation means logic 1 and logic 0s are not flowing, the signals are not flowing through the circuit. There is no signal flow means there is no current flow. And since no current flow means there is no power dissipation. Correct? You have the relation for power as P is equal to V into I. That is voltage into current. Or the other equation for power is I square R. So the current, if there is no current flowing, there will be no power dissipation. And that is how we reduce power, by keeping microcontroller in idle mode. Correct? And the other one is power down mode. Power down mode mean again internal no operations are carried out by microcontroller, as well as the clock is stopped. Correct? Clock is stopped means all the entire circuit freezes, mean no operation. Is that okay? So that is called power down mode. No operation. So as said earlier, there is no operation mean There is no current flowing through any of the circuit, not even the clock circuit. No current flow means no power dissipation. So this is the biggest feature of a microcontroller. We can keep microcontroller in either idle or the sleep mode, or we can keep microcontroller in power down mode, right? But now to come out of power down mode, we need to reset microcontroller, correct? And to come out from the idle or sleep mode, we need not do anything, right? Just change the PCON bit and we are out of the idle or the sleep mode. But in case of power down mode, we need to reset microcontroller. And once we reset microcontroller, there is a possibility of some of the registers might get changed, correct? So while coming out from the power down mode, few of the registers might change. We will see it just in few seconds. When we reset microcontroller, what happens internally, correct? Microcontroller comes out of idle or sleep mode. None of the register contents are changed. None of the memory contents are changed. And microcontroller starts from where it had stopped. Hope you get me. That is idle or the sleep mode. Okay. So these are the reducing the power dissipation of microcontroller, right? Now there is one more function associated with PCON register, and what is the function? It is used to double the baud rate of serial communication, right? If we remember, we had studied serial communication. The SFR registers were SCON and SBUF. SCON was a register which decides whether the communication should be synchronous or asynchronous. And whenever it is asynchronous, we had the feasibility of choosing what should be the baud rate, whether it is variable or fixed. Baud rate was how many bits are sent in or taken in a second, right? So that was the baud rate. So now if I had used SCON register and I had set a baud rate of 2400 bits per second, correct? And I can use this PCON register with the same 2400 baud rate. Whatever calculations we have got, I can make use of this PCON register, and there is a bit called SMOD. This is the last bit of PCON register, correct? We can make use of this SMOD bit. I will make this SMOD bit 1, and automatically whatever baud rate setting we had done in SCON register, it doubles. So if the baud rate setting was of 2400 and if the SMOD bit is 1, the baud rate becomes double of it, 4800. Are you getting me? Without making any calculations or changes in the program, I can double the baud rate with the help of PCON register, correct? Usually by default, SMOD bit is 0, logic 0. Mean whatever SCON register has set up the baud rate, the same baud rate is used throughout the program, right? So by default, the status of SMOD bit or the logic of SMOD bit, it is logic 0, right? Whereas we can make it 1 to double the baud rate used during serial communication. Okay. And see, what is this PCON having? The last statement. PCON has 2 general purpose user defined flags available. So we have 2 more user defined flags, GF0, GF1. We had seen one user defined flag F0 in PSW register. And now we have here general purpose user defined flags in PCON also. And there are 2 in numbers. So user can make use of these flags, as I said, to get an indication of whether an event has arrived or not, or whether some operation is going on or not. Is that okay? So that is, we have 2 additional general purpose flag registers in PCON. So that was our last special function register, right? And it is byte addressable. I cannot access the bit. Is that okay? So PCON register helps to keep it in sleep mode or power down mode. It is used for doubling the baud rate of serial communication, and there are 2 general purpose user defined flags available. Now the last architecture component which has left, and that is the clock circuitry and the memory block. Now the clock, generally the 8051 that we use, we operate it at 12 megahertz. So I have mentioned here, for example, if I use Atmel, 80 stands for Atmel, 89C51 microcontroller, C for CMOS. So specifically, if I use this microcontroller, it operates at a frequency from 0 to 24 megahertz. So that's the minimum 0 frequency and the maximum is 24 megahertz. You will get this in their data sheets, correct? So if this is the minimum and the maximum oscillator frequency, generally we operate that device at half of the frequency. So we will be operating 89C51 microcontroller at 12 megahertz. Is that okay? And we never go beyond the maximum, correct? We should never connect an oscillator beyond 24 megahertz, correct? Because that circuitry is meant to work this fast, 24 megahertz. If I'm to work faster than this, it's going to give you random results, correct? Practically, or even the nature's law is, we can slow down the things, but we cannot make things work faster. This is the nature's law. Whatever the capacity is, you can slow down the capacity, correct? But then without doing any modifications, you cannot make the circuit work faster. I hope you get that. So generally, the operating frequency or the crystal that we will be connecting is half of this. So that is 12 megahertz oscillator. We will be using it as a clock. Correct. Nowadays, you all have microcontrollers even operating at a frequency of 100 megahertz. Right. New versions of 89 controllers operate at 100 megahertz. Right. Okay. So 12 megahertz is what we will be using it as a clock, crystal oscillator. And where do you connect this crystal oscillator? It is at those two pins, XTAL1 and XTAL2. These are the pins 18 and 19 of microcontroller. In between these two pins, you will be connecting crystal oscillator. Correct? And what it does, it will drive the on-chip clock circuitry and will generate a square wave of 12 megahertz internally. Is that okay? And see, I have written here, with this 12 megahertz clock, we get the time period of the machine cycle of 1 microseconds. Now we will see what is meant by machine cycle. Hopefully, when you have studied 8086, you all should have come across this instruction cycle, machine cycle, and so on. Anyway, but we will explain this in the next slide. So if I connect a 12 megahertz clock, I get 1 microsecond machine cycle. And machine cycle is time taken by the instruction for fetching, decoding, and execution. That time is called machine cycle. So we have 1 microsecond machine cycle. Majority of the instructions are executed in 1 microsecond. That is the meaning. Okay, majority of. So that is all about the clock circuitry, right? And the last point, memory. By now, everyone should be okay with how much memory, how it is, right? So internally, we have 4000 byte KB program memory. It is non-volatile, correct? Okay, so we saw the architecture. We saw a simplified block diagram of 8051. Then we looked into a more detailed block diagram which had special function registers in it. And then we started with each and every special explanation of each and every special function register. And see, whenever in exams, mostly the question asked is draw and explain the architecture of 8051 microcontroller. You can draw the simplified block diagram, but each and every component in the block diagram should be explained in detail. Okay. Now, the last point that we were about to see is, I said every instruction has a machine cycle, right? What is a machine cycle? It is a time taken to fetch, decode, and execute an instruction. So see here, a square wave has been shown. What is this? This is the oscillator frequency. We have connected a 12 megahertz oscillator, and that on-chip circuitry is producing this square wave inside. And what is the frequency of the square wave? 12 megahertz. This is the time written from start end to stop end, that it is written one machine cycle. Definition: it is a time period required to fetch, decode, and execute an instruction. Okay. So how much is one machine cycle? If I connect 12 megahertz, the time period of one machine cycle is 1 microseconds. How it is, we will see to it, right? So see, one machine cycle comprises of 6 states: state 1, state 2, state 3, and so on to state 6. So one machine cycle comprises of 6 states, and each state is made up of 2 square waves. Right? So we measure the square wave from one falling edge. See, this is the falling edge. From one falling edge to the next falling edge. So this is one square wave. And then this is the second square wave. So every state is made up of 2 square waves, which we call it as a T state. T for time period. So every state is made up of 2 time periods. Fine. So just look down what is written below. One machine cycle is made up of 6 states. One state is made up of 2 clock pulses or 2 time periods. What is time? It is inverse of frequency. T is 1 by F. What is that F? F is the oscillator frequency. And how much is the oscillator frequency? 12 megahertz. Correct? And hence one machine cycle is made up of 12 time periods. 12T. So 12 into 1 upon 12 megahertz, that T is 1 by F. And hence one machine cycle, we get the time calculation as 1 microsecond. Is that okay? And there are majority of the instructions which just require one machine cycle to fetch, decode, and execute. So that's the time required by an instruction to get executed. So here we end up with our architecture part. Okay. Now we will go for the next. We will start with our next point, and that is we will look into the pin functioning of 8051. We will see each and every pin functioning. What are the signals associated with those pins of 8051? So this will be our next topic. So see here, we are going to study 8051 microcontroller. So that 8051 is a 40-pin microcontroller, 1 to 20 pins on one side and 21 to 40 on the other side. So this type of IC is called as dual inline package, DIP. Correct? So this particular picture is of DIP 40-pin microcontroller 8051, right? But then where is that actual circuitry inside this chip? So take a look at the picture below. This is your entire 40-pin chip, right? But somewhere at the center, you have, this is the circuitry which we call it as a chip, correct? So this is that actual circuitry of microcontroller. It's a very, very small, tiny chip, and it appears like a mirror, that it is shiny and a mirror type it is. Is that okay? And from this chip, you have this wire bonding. These are the connections to which we get it to the pins. And that's how you have these pins, correct? So whatever chip you see, it does not mean that the circuitry is there on that entire chip. No, it's somewhere at the center, right? And see at the right hand side, I have shown 8751 microcontroller, correct? 7 indicates it is UV erasable and programmable. So UV light, with the help of UV light, you will erase and program this particular microcontroller. So inside you see that is the chip, fine. And to program, they have kept a glass window. So this is a glass window. And through this glass window, we allow UV rays to fall so as to erase or program the chip. So see, students, whenever, now once it is programmed, we cover this with the help of a sticker, so that it does not get exposed to the sunlight. Even our regular sunlight has UV rays, and if you keep this window open during the daytime, right, some logic 0, logic 1 might change, and a single digit change, the functioning can collapse, right? So once it is programmed, this window is covered with the help of a sticker. So that just for curiosity's sake, I have shown 8751 with a glass window. But we will be studying 8051, which is a 40-pin chip, correct? So that's the diagram, pin diagram of 8051, pin number 1 to 20 and 21 to 40. Now, in microcontroller, there should be 4 ports. Look into port 0. So on the right hand side, port 0. On the left hand side, port 1. Then you have port 2, port 3. Correct? So these are the 4 ports. And see, important, VCC ground and the crystal oscillator pins XTAL1, 18 and 19, XTAL2. Correct? Now, along with this, there is another name written at majority of the pins. P0.0 is also combined with AD0 and so on. It means majority of the pins are multifunction, dual functionality. Is that okay? So we are going to see the functionality of each and every pin in this microcontroller. So let us begin with port 1. Port 1 is pin number 1 to pin number 8. Right? There is no other name written besides it. So what does that indicate? So we will look into pins 1 to 8 are dedicated to port 1, P1. Right? What it is a dedicated general purpose input output port. Mean to this port I can connect any of an input or any of an output device, and it has a dedicated function of interfacing input output device. No other functionality associated with it. Right? Hence it is also called as general purpose input output port, GPIO. Now P1 is an 8-bit port. The address of the port is 90 hex. The bitwise, you can use it bitwise or bytewise. Bitwise, we refer it as P1.1 to P1.7. If you want to refer it by its address, the addresses are 90919297. These are the bit addresses. So refer them by name or by an address. And when you reset microcontroller, logic 1 automatically appears on all the port pins. So when we power on or when we reset microcontroller, what appears on port 1? It's logic 1 everywhere on all those 8 pins. Correct? And also what does that indicate? All the ports, all the bits are ready to read. Mean they are initialized as input. So whenever you power on microcontroller or reset microcontroller, logic 1 appears on the pins as well as they are initialized as input pins. Right? If you remember, we had said before, whenever we want to send out data, initialization of the port is not required. But whenever we want to read data or take in data, initialization is required. And what initialization? Sending logic 1 on all the pins. And that is what is happening. When you reset, logic 1 is sent on all the pins, and hence they are initialized as inputs. Mean they are ready to read. Correct? And they are quasi bidirectional. Port 1 is quasi bidirectional. Quasi, in the simpler way, you can say partially bidirectional. Mean at a time it is used either as an input, that is for reading operation, or it is used as an output, write operation. Read and write cannot happen at the same time. Correct? It will be used as an output port. Later on you initialize and use it as an input port. So hence quasi, the word quasi bidirectional. Correct? And there is something written called, there is internal pull-up associated with port 1. We will see what this is. There is some circuitry inside which is bringing the pins to some higher voltage. So that's the word pull-up. Correct? So there is some circuitry inside port 1 which brings the pin to some higher voltage. That is the meaning of internal pull-up. Correct. And how do you use port 1? Either bit by bit. For example, set bit P1.5, that is using 1 bit of port. Or you can use it as a byte, MOV P1, #0FFX. Mean FF hex is stored or sent on port 1. So this is byte access. Set bit, it is a bit access. Thank you. Bye. And I'll see you in the next session.